Come lo fare? Lo fare... Come lo voglio gestire? Se lo risolvi tu lo fai tutto. Quindi diciamo che magari faccio io l'intro e poi il nostro deck lo fai tu e poi io gestisco un po' la parte dei... perché l'unica differenza comunque è fai così, intro e value. Ok.
of the team with PugliaTechs, and we're welcoming you to the April edition of our PugliaTechs Talks. First of all, we wanted to really thank FinCons for hosting us today. We are a spontaneous group of entrepreneurs, professionals, amongst investors and institutions joining us as well in this goal of making Puglia a global tech hub. I think we're there. We are on that route to becoming a global tech hub, and it is our goal on a daily basis to make it happen by building a grassroots community. First of all, we wanted to thank again FinCos Group and starting again with a round of introduction. Thanks for having us today.
Thank you. Hear me? Thank you. Good afternoon and hello to everybody. I'm Vito Belviso and I'm an IT director in FinCos Group. And it's very a pleasure this afternoon to have the possibility to have the PugliaTech people here with us in our FinCons Future Gateway office. It's an honor for FinCons to have the possibility to share with the PugliaTech people today different topics regarding the innovation, the IT, the transformation, and so on. Let me spend just a few words to present FinCons. FinCons is a system integration company with more than 40 years of experience, or I would like to say our CEO is 40 years of IT passion. Today we are close to 3,000 employees located in different FinCons office, not only in Italy but also around the world. We have our headquarters in the Milan office, but we have also other offices in Bari, Rome, Naples, and outside Italy, it's been in Switzerland, Germany, Paris, London, and also in the US and India country. Our service, we work as a system integration, but we have also some proprietary solution that we created from scratch, and today are part of strategic business for different enterprise company in Italy, but not only. Let me stop here to present FinCons, and now to ask to Marco. Francesco, sorry, Francesco, to go ahead with this very important event. Thank you, Francesco.
Thanks very much. So before leaving the room to our, we say, amazing speakers, because we really believe that those who make Bari their land, coming from abroad, along with local with rooted, not necessarily local with goals, startups and professionals coming here, they really honor us. So there will be a very quick introduction about us as PugliaTechs before giving the room to the actual speakers. So what is PugliaTechs? So we said we're a grassroots tech community. We're a mix of tech enthusiasts, not necessarily engineers, entrepreneurs, startup founders, and we want to use tech as a medium to make Puglia a really global tech hub by taking knowledge that we already have locally, that we have built from our existing networking, but actually putting it together as a group and create opportunities for all of us, professionally and business-wise. Our vision, again, as I said, is to create a global perspective with Puglia roots. So keeping the roots here, not having the need of moving, unless that's probably for creating more opportunities, but keeping the roots here, creating more business opportunities and new businesses that really start from here and then expand internationally with our connections. Also the logistics ones, and I think this strategic location really reminds us of how gifted we are to have these connections from where we are geographically. And again, startups can and do start from here, and they thrive around the world. And we want that to become more and more of a standard for us Apulians and the story to tell. And this means not only pooling talents from other areas and making them flourish in an area that is probably still pretty good to live in, but actually allowing us to create more opportunities for local talent to thrive right here in Puglia. A quick story. We started around 6 months ago with just a group of spontaneous tech lovers, and we've seen great recognition both from hosts, and today's example really humbles us as local partners, but the overall community that we've seen joining us on social media and Telegram group tells us that this is a need that the local community has, and that's where we're here today. What we're doing is working on a series of tools to pursue this goal, and it also starts by having a website that tells a bit more our story. So I think we have a little technical issue, but yes, but I think we will. I think as tech people, we always need to have fallback as little as that is. So hopefully, it should be good. So we launched this little website today with our community builders. There's a group of us. Not all of them are here today. Some are traveling, but we're more than 10 community builders, as you can see here, and we're really honored to have this common goal. You can see more through the website PugliaTechs.com, and I'll also leave it to Marco to tell more what we have in store apart from the daily community building that we're doing also today.
Hello, everyone. I just want to add a few things about the website, which went live again today with all these new features. The idea again is to serve you. We are not here to brag that we are good in tech. We are here to serve the people that are members. And the website is a way to really connect with all the channels to understand the application we are building that is going to serve the members. And also to facilitate the networking. Moving to the next slide. Okay. One thing we believe is very important is obviously to create an ecosystem of companies and corporates that are involved, because it's not just professional startups or institutions like Regione Puglia and so on, but really to create the synergies with the corporate network. So what we try to achieve here is to increase the brand awareness of corporates involved with PugliaTechs, to facilitate recruiting, facilitating access to new technologies, new products that you can sell via your network, lead generation potentially, and also sharing products, engineering best practices. So we aim to secure the 15 slots between corporates, financial institutions, and tech firms in the first batch to make sure that we can actually serve them well. So this is another goal that we aim to achieve in in this quarter, actually. Regarding, again, the key point here is that we aim to make you succeed. But in order to do that, we need to know a little bit more information about yourself. We have this little QR code, which I encourage you to scan. This time works. So essentially, what is the idea here? Is the onboarding of PugliaTechs. We want to know basic information about you, but also we want to know the intent. What I mean by intent is that typically we get spammed by emails. We receive 20, 50, I receive 200 emails of spams every day. Francesco, if you can move it. Here is completely the opposite. So you ask questions about what you are looking for, and you provide intent, so information about yourself. And we want to connect in a double approval process with the person, with potentially the people that you can be a good match with your desires. How it looks is essentially this kind of simple structure. So we have, professionals, let's say tech professionals looking for opportunities, and entrepreneurs looking for talent, entrepreneurs trying to sell a product service to other entrepreneurs, and getting cash, or they need financial needs. So there is an investor that's actually providing investment to them. So once we put all together, all these members, different groups, and we create this intense matchmaking, is much easier to do pretty much anything in any community. And again, this is an agent that we're going to build going forward. So to sum up, the aim is to become the operating system for the tech community in Puglia, federating communities, federating startups, enablers, and corporates, institutions. We're not too many here, but you know, Regione Puglia is a great example, and of course also investors. So people that back you as an entrepreneur, people that want to move here because of lifestyle, food, whatever. You know, they actually have different mandates, but then potentially someone in US that he wants to invest here, or vice versa, or bringing us startups in US, potentially all in London. So again, the goals are to serve many different clusters, and that's exactly what we are trying to achieve. So I'm going to move now to the first speaker, which is Paulo from Hopin, and he's going to tell us a little bit more his experience of scaling a unicorn. So please, Paulo, come to the stage. And you have 20 minutes to enlighten us on everything about engineering and scaling. Thank you.
Just 20 minutes. Right, so welcome. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm talking about some engineering challenges from Hopin. For those who don't know, Hopin is a company that started by creating a platform for online events. So who I am engineering lead and entrepreneur, or at least I like to call that myself. Over a decade of experience working with startups, and what we have for the menu today is something along the lines of the journey of Hopin, the challenges we faced, and also, and the most important, the lessons we get from the battle. So the menu, we start with the growth timeline, about the company, the engineering challenges, then we go to the organization challenges, and the most important part, the lessons. So starting with the timeline. So the company was founded by Johnny. Johnny got some illness, and in 2019 we made it impossible to almost leave the house. So we had the vision of recreating the experience of live events into the digital world. That would bring a lot of benefits, especially for him in this condition. So, 2020, the terrible year that everyone remembers, the outbreak of the greatest pandemic, or the worst pandemic of our time. So, what happened? Global pandemic, everyone locked in, so demand for online solutions for everything skyrocketed. Online events was no exception, and we had a quick we had a product already being built for this, and that product fits like a glove in the demand. Couple of series in 2020, money coming through the door. That means money, it's not a problem, we have other problems. So 2021, big growth, more money coming in. We acquire a couple of business, StreamYard, Streamable, Identified, and StreamYard basically allows to multi-stream to several platforms. Streamable was a solution for hosting video, Identify and a CRM for events, and Jam. At the time, you can think about Google Meet competitor, but with a proprietary stack. Our workforce grew from 100 to more than 1,000 in just one year. Big picture about the major investments. As you can see, lot of money involved, and top-rated investors working with us. Then 2022, COVID got away, and we had to struggle. We had a struggle. So we basically shift from growing at all costs to focus on sustainability. Impossible to do that without letting a lot of people going. So 2 major rounds of layoffs, and basically we start to pivot for profitability. So the layoff timeline, we have 3 layoffs in 2022. The first one was the most dramatic, as you can imagine. In the first experience is always the more painful, but the second one was not easy. So structural changes. Basically, we have to reshift the whole company. We have to shift from being a multi-product company where we were chasing to wide our target market, and we focused more on the StreamYard business model, because after the pandemic, everyone wants to start flying again and going to other places, but the streaming business will continue. So in terms of the organization, so we need to, because we reduced the people, we need to realign everyone that was kept, and making sure that we keep our business running. The sale, August 2023, the events department was sold to Ring Central, and the remaining assets was sold to a company that may be familiar to some of you. And this represented the end of the company as an independent entity. Well, that's the end of the Hopin's journey, but what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That's why I'm here today. So, I'm still alive. So, some key points, engineering practices at scale. So the company started remotely. I remember that the first 10 to 12 people we have people from the US to South Korea. So people in the US, in Europe, India, and South Korea. We built everything for fast experimentation and quick feature rollout. When we have demand, what we want is to fulfill our users' and customers' needs. We start by introducing a layered system design, so splitting responsibilities. Some of them are key things like the video, which is kind of different in terms of how we approach building systems. And of course, the eternal battle, balancing speed with stability. It's a very hard job to do. Hiring. So when money is not a problem, people become your major constraint in order to fulfill your demand. So we always have this remote first approach. So hiring pipeline doesn't matter where the people is located. We focus a lot on cultural fit, and the process need to be quite quick because there was a huge demand also on talent in engineering during this time, because this was not the only company in growth. And we adopt a parallel hiring strategy, which means we have an internal team working, and we also work with agencies where we hire them to bring and vet some candidates. Also, we also hire specialized agencies. So development, the design, marketing, we cannot do everything in-house. Despite of the number of people coming in, we need to offload some tasks. This was it was very interesting to work with, and a lot of scares in the battle working with these agencies. So engineers are a special breed, or as someone called, sometimes they are the prima donnas, so they have very hard demands. So how do we approach for onboarding engineers? We approach by standardizing the onboarding process and ensure that every engineer, this was not only for the engineers, they knew very well the business they are into, and they knew very well the product. It was required that every engineer would host an event and understand how the platform works and everything works. This is key for everyone to understand what are you doing outside of your little backyard. Because when you usually work like in silos, your domain as the team grows, your domain tends to shrink. So the tendency is to become siloed in one silo. This allows people to start from when they start, they understand the product, and they see what are the pain points, sometimes users face, and that's a great that was a great strategy. Also, another key element that allows the culture to foster the culture and spread the company culture was the buddies. Everyone hired would have one buddy from his department and another one for a different department. Let's say if you hire an engineer, you can have someone from sales, you can have someone from the marketing team. This helps not only knowing more about the company itself, but creates bonds that are essential, especially on remote environments. Playbooks, and live onboarding sessions, so we have a lot of written document and also onboarding sessions across time zones is of course important, because one of the major struggles with distributed teams are time zones. This is something you cannot avoid. So if you cannot avoid, you need to work. And of course, company values and asynchronous communication. So remote DNA, I think first habits and team playing. Engineers, and especially engineers in this first thing, was asked to, their first job of the day was to take a look at other colleagues' pull requests. So sorry about that, but for someone that is not familiar, it's when someone writes code, they need to push the code to a system, and other people will read the code and comment and approve it or not. This was the first thing they should do every day. The reason for that is this will unblock others' work. Weekly OLANs with MA sessions with the leadership. So this was a key also on the culture side, because there was no forbidden questions. We even allowed anonymous questions when those questions were hard to. So we want to create and foster an environment that everyone could ask difficult questions, because if there's a culture of there are no forbidden questions, everyone feels empowered to ask whatever question they have, and sometimes those are very important, and sometimes leadership need to hear those questions. So also virtual initiatives for social and mental health, very important as well, because especially during the pandemic, mental health became quite a trendy topic. Not trendy by some useful, some unusual terms, because a lot of people got locked out, depending on the country, more restrictions, less restrictions, but it was a tough time, so mental health became a real struggle for many people. Also, there was some key events where we had the leadership exposing themselves in those events, which was nice. Also, reinforced autonomy as an operating principle. This has to do a lot of how we approach decision making. I guess this is from Jeff Bezos, the one-way door versus two-way door decisions. If a decision is reversible, it's a two-way door, so mostly likely proceed, do not ask for permission, proceed. If the decision was not good enough, we can always go back. Mentorship and learning. We have internal talks, so led by engineers, but other departments also do it. Of course, support was one of the departments that I ran over to have a lot of them. Basically means sharing knowledge, sometimes on the engineering, proposing solutions to problems and discuss those solutions as a broader, with a broader audience, means that you can sometimes avoid reinventing the wheel in two different departments of your company or to different teams, because at that time, when you have so much people coming in with different experiences and also a lot of different tracks of work, it's very easy to get duplicated work. Also, internal hackathons, of course, this keeps engineers happy, and in the end of the day, some products end up being created by hackathons. For just out of curiosity, Slack, as you know it, was just an hackathon outside project from a game studio. So, scaling leadership. We started by empowering early engineers to grow into their leadership, but also creating mentorship, leadership workshops where we can allow people to grow into these leadership positions, and making sure that everyone that ends up going to management have some kind of support, not only through mentors, but also from these workshops, and we bring other people to help with that. So, change management. As any startup, we start with ad hoc teams, Slack-driven architecture. So a comment on Slack becomes a decision. So with growth, we start formalizing squads. Squads, for those who don't know, who are not familiar with the term, are small teams within bigger sub-departments. And after the layoffs, we need to reduce a lot of the teams. We also need to constrain the number of systems we need to work. Some of the systems end up being being abandoned, and we of course need to have multi-skilled engineers, because when you grow and you start to becoming more specialized or having more specialized people, when you start to shrink the teams, you need to ensure that the people that stays can work in a different set of domains, or not all of them, but a different set. Also, cloud expenses. I personally led a project where we reduced by 74%, so 4.6 million per year in cloud expenses is quite a huge number. And focuses more on the platform reliability and the operational excellence. What this means is basically ensure that we have systems in place that will call the firefighters right at the starting of the fire, and we have firefighters ready to fight. Why this is very important? Because when the market, when your market is shrinking, you need to make sure that your customer satisfaction increases, because otherwise you cannot afford to lose the market and your customers that have a product. So what endures? Well, products may change, companies may pivot, but great teams and foundations endure. I will end my talk with some reflections on the Hopin game. So, sustainable growth beats hypergrowth at all costs. This is good to say, but looking back, I am unsure if you could avoid the hypergrowth for several reasons. First of all, market demand, and market is always the dictator. Core product strength is critical. If you stick to your core, that means you have your focus is on something that you know. You could do experiments around your product, but they need to be strategic in order to increase your likelihood of success. Sometimes this happens. There's a clear example about this, which is when you decide to build or buy. Oh, okay, just a minute. When you have build or buy, you need to be very careful with these decisions, because these decisions may have a huge impact long term. Sometimes buying is just way cheaper. Cultural resilience matters. Of course it matters, because what makes a product or a company good, it's the people that this company is composed. If these people is aligned with the company, whatever direction the company is taking, it's amazing when the company is growing, when there's all flowers, but when the company is shrinking, and you sometimes see your long-time colleagues leaving, it's very hard. So if the company have this transparency, and the teams have this resilience to understand, okay, we need to row the boat in the same direction, this helps a lot, and it's most likely the number one factor between failure and success. And that's it from my side. I leave some QR codes. They are working. I tested them myself, and I'm happy to take some questions or after the talk answer.
Okay. We are a little bit tight on time, so I think there is going to be plenty of networking time to share, and ask questions later. So I think we try. First of all, thanks a lot for explaining the true battlefield of what happened during Hopin time. It was an incredible story, and you actually learned pretty much everything that people face in a kind of 5 years to 6 years time in a high growth startup. So thanks again for coming and joining us today. We have actually now the second speaker coming to the floor, which is Leonne, one of our community builders. So let's prepare the slide for the next one. She's gonna move a lot, so I'm gonna actually move back to the seat in front. And yeah, so you have 15, you said 20, up to 20. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. I won't be moving that much, because I will move out of the video frame. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'll be a bit quicker than I expected, so if I talk too fast, please let me know. I have been working as a UX designer in the high-tech industry for about 20 years, and what I want to talk to you about is why UX matters, what you can do, if you are not a UX designer or you don't have a design mind yet. So first of all, why does it matter? So who of you has a tech background? Who? Lots of hands. So we know about feasibility, right? Feasibility is important. Can we actually make it? Do we have the people and the technology to make it happen? So who of you has a finance background? A few hands, yeah? So you all know about viability, I suppose. Will we earn our investments back? And will the customers pay enough to, make a living? And now why UX matters. There's one last one. So nobody with a design background here? No, am I the only one? Great, then you're my audience tonight. Desirability is also important. So is it what our customers really want, and is it what our users really need or desire? And why would you ask, have I made these little circles? There, in the middle, where desirability, viability, and feasibility meet, that is where the innovation sweet spot is. And if you are working on a startup, or if you are working on innovation, you want your innovation to be successful, the chances your innovations are going to be successful are much higher if it meets both feasibility, viability, and desirability. So this is why UX matters. Who thinks you can get UX for free? Anyone? Yeah? Why, Marco? You saw the presentation. No one else thinks you can get it for free? You can actually, because you know what it is. User experience exists, whether you want it or not. It's with me and the microphone, this little thing, with a bottle of water, the coffee machine around the corner. Every time a user interacts with your solution, there is a user experience. So, if you want it for free, you don't have to do anything about it. The thing is, usually if you do not design it, it's not going to be very positive. So you can get it for free, but it happens anyways, by design or by default. And I think people actually did try to design this user experience. It looks pretty, but it also creates a bit of confusion. So please know that. Right, so what I'm going to talk to you about tonight is not UX only, but UX design. As many professions, UX design is a T-shaped model. There's lots that is part of UX design. But let me ask you, what if I talk about UX design? What comes to mind? What are you talking? What do you think about UX design? Anyone? Human interaction, yes. What else? UX design. You came here. You're listening to a UX design talk. So what is it you think about when I talk about UX design? Customer onboarding, yes, very good. Anything like look and feel, navigation, ring a bell? It's customer service, exactly. So there's a lot of different disciplines underneath. One of it is visual design. Often people start talking about pixels and brand colors and look and feel, which is important. It is. It's part of UX design, but it's not usually where you start. There's interaction design, which is basically navigation, the desired interaction you want, the information that's being exchanged between system and user. You can actually design that. Then there's content design. I'll get back to why I gave that a lighter shade blue, but let's say the tone of voice, the message you give, the type of information you need on the screen, and also align that as early as possible also with your sales pitch. If you are still in the phase of getting funding, you also have sales pitches. Make sure that what you communicate with your marketing people, with your sales people, is the same as what you actually see on the screen. So terminology is important. IA, AI, it used to be just IA, information architecture. Why did I put this here? And this is mostly based on my experience in the high-tech industry. It is really important in an early stage to talk to your architects. When you are designing an interaction flow, when you are designing what you want the user and the system to do, you also need to understand, do we have the data? Do we need business logic to get this data? Is it calculated? Can we retrieve it somewhere? In which part of the flow are we actually doing the calls to the backend? Do we need live updates? All these things are really important. So that is why workflow design, interaction design, and architecture go hand in hand. And obviously nowadays, you also need to understand a few things about IA as a UX designer to be able to also in an early stage come up with the right technologies or understand what these technologies bring so you can design a better interaction. But what I want to talk to you most about, so I'm speeding up here, is the two ones that have user in it. We were talking about user experience. It all starts with your user. What I want to talk to you tonight about is user research and user testing. Why? Not only because they are the fundamentals when we talk about UX design, but also because they're the easiest to do when you do not have a designer mind or a design background. I want to walk you through some of the common pitfalls. I'm going to talk to some tips and tricks so you can actually start tomorrow, because that was my promise on the first slide. First pitfall. It's a Disney classic. It's assume. It's assuming you know your users, assuming you know better than your users, or even assuming that your users are so intelligent they don't really need a designed user experience. You think that doesn't happen? Let me bring you back 20 years ago. I'm not kidding. 20 years ago, Silverstone 2006, you see me in the Ferrari pit box because I wanted to work in Formula 1. But as a UX designer, what do you do there? It's a bit hard to go and say, oh, maybe Michael Schumacher wants a different steering wheel. Ha! If he wants a different steering wheel, they just make it. But I, having this passion for the sport, got into the field and realized that the real work was to be done behind the scenes. There's about 50 engineers for every car that are working on data analysis software tools. At the time, it was quite an innovative system, telemetry system built in the 90s, pretty advanced. But you would think, okay, it's a real innovation, it's Formula 1. They will know what to do. Trust me, the user experience was appalling. People were sitting next to each other, handing each other written notes about what they saw in the data, and debriefs would be Word documents with screenshots, and that everybody would still look like, I don't know, I didn't see that. So like, wow, I have my audience here, this is where I can do it. Unfortunately, it didn't happen, so Ferrari didn't hire me. I think because Ferrari having their own system, you can, talk about maybe viability, feasibility wasn't the right moment. But then, good news, the market changed, regulation changes, always good. The FIA had decided that in 2008 they wanted a single supplier for the ECU, so the board computer, including the software that would program the computer as well as the data analysis tool. And the winner of the tender was McLaren. Yeah, McLaren Applied Technologies nowadays. At the time it was McLaren Electronics. So there I went off to London, lived there for 7 months, working on one of their other products. And I was thinking, wow, this is where it will happen, right? They have 3 years guaranteed business. They have all the teams. So I checked with their users, as I interviewed the users in the Ferrari box as well. And all users were unhappy. So I thought, okay, this is where it's going to happen. You have got 3 years. You have guaranteed business. You have your system up and running. Nobody's going to run away. So now they will start on the innovation, right? Oh, no, not really, because this is where I get to the pitfall. Even though I had the conversations with everybody agreed with me. The users agreed with me. Like, finally, someone is listening to us because we have 5 checkboxes doing the same thing. And it's slow, and the system wasn't that slow, but they had forgotten they had already loaded the same screen they were looking at. That's why it was slow. That's how appalling UX was. But then the people in charge literally said to me, oh no, but you don't understand. Our users are very intelligent. Wow, is what I thought. Wouldn't it be great if they used that intelligence to win races instead of finding the way in their software? But no, didn't go. So they asked their users, another pitfall, they asked, but they didn't really listen. So what I mean with that, if a customer comes and asks you for a feature, you can just simply add that feature. And then another customer comes and you ask you for another feature, and you also add that feature. Then you end up with a cauliflower application where nobody understands anything anymore. So one of the rules is, or one of the pitfalls is, ask without listening, and you can tackle that by just asking why. Why are you asking for it? What are you trying to achieve? What are you missing in the current solution that you are asking for this feature? Because then often you will find a user need. And once you have the user need, that's probably more transversal. So there will be more users with that same need. And then you can really develop a feature that serves more than just one person that asked for it. And we all know the very famous quote of Henry Ford. You know, if I had asked my customers what they wanted, they would have asked for a faster horse. Seriously, that's just being arrogant. Don't do that. Don't assume, don't think you know better, and don't ask without listening. Instead, observe, go and look what your users are doing, be curious more than anything, and ask why. Do not be shy to ask why, and keep asking why until you've understood. Last but not least, jump to conclusions. Why do I say that? Because it's really fun to find out what your users want. So as soon as you've spoken to one, you're like, yes, I know what I want to do, because I've heard from one. Okay, take your time. Don't start coding after one chat. Test the assumptions you want to test. Talk to more than one people. 3 to 5 users will do. Then you will have enough points of view. Patterns will emerge, and that is where the design starts. So okay, I've talked about some pitfalls. So now, obviously, what are we supposed to do? Get to know your users. For the ease of conversation, I have split it up, so you want to understand who are we designing for. I've split it up in 2 flavors, like basically the whole world. Like, you know, everybody from 8 to 80 years old around the globe needs to be able to work with your solution, or the more domain experts, mostly professional users, which is where I have more experience in. If we design for the whole world, it's very easy to find people. You can just walk out the door, you can ask your colleagues, your mom, your neighbor, some stranger in the bar. It's really easy to find users. So basically, you can start tomorrow. Though we also know that when you are working on innovation, when you are a startup, you're in the beginning, you will not immediately make a product that is successful for the whole world. So I would suggest to go and find your early adopters and start with them as a user group. So start small. And also, again, I cannot repeat it enough. Go and observe what people are actually doing. Whatever your solution is, somehow they will do or complete their tasks at the moment as well, but without your current solution. So go and find out how they are actually solving the problem, because that is where you learn what people need. So you start with the as-is situation. And the good news is that big tech, Google, Apple, and so on, have already paved the way. So you don't really have to invent a lot of things. You can reuse interaction patterns that are common. It's harder to differentiate if you design for the whole world. So again, my invitation is to go and get to know your users. If you're designing for domain experts, it's a lot harder to find them, to access them, and to understand them, because they usually have a more complicated task. But again, also they are probably getting the job done without your tool. So whether it's 6 Excel sheets, 2 Post-its, I don't know, brain gymnastics, whatever algorithm it is that they have in their heads, get that out. So go and find out how they are solving the problem at the moment. So ask how they work, what tools they use, and be persistent again. Grasp the whys. Don't stop at the first answer. And also, what is really cool about these professional users, they often are really want better tools. So they are more than willing to help you and to share their experience, and they will also become the first adopters of your new tool. This is easy. It is once you have the user requirements, you go and iterate. I don't think I have to explain this to anyone. So you define, you design, you validate, and you go on and on and on. You learn easy, you learn fast, you feel cheap, and you repeat until you have it. Okay, so how do we do that? Making a prototype. Basically, anything tangible works. If it's just a paper sketch, fine. It's PowerPoint, also good. Nowadays, you have Figma, and even you have v0.dev, so many tools, so that really is not any alibi anymore. Start making it visual and ask feedback. Golden rule, if you do that, please let users play around first. Let them see what they see. Ask them to think out loud and just observe what they're doing. Ask them why they do it, because that's how you can figure out how intuitive it is. And also remember, even though you're really happy with your solution, really proud of it, and you go and test it, and they don't understand, you're testing the prototype, not the user. So, okay, Just keep that in mind or write it on your hand or something. What you want to understand from these user tests is the desired interaction and the desired exchange of information. So also when they do get it, do ask questions like what they are missing, what they were expecting, what they don't see yet, and so on. So really keep the dialogue up and going. And also in the beginning, please start with a happy flow. Just focus on the main flow. Get that spinal core in first, and then you go to the exceptions. And again, stick to the known patterns. Really not the moment to reinvent drop-down menus. Just use whatever is there and get the information out of the people. A few things to say. If you are prototyping, fake it until you make it is how I like to call it. For the whole world, mock data is fine. Users will get it. So if you have a prototype up and you use any funny picture, or I don't know, you found you're doing a web shop and you found pineapple-shaped flip-flops, it's fine. Your users will get it. But for the professional users, usually not the case. They can't see through mock data. So what I've learned is that it's easier to get the real data on the screen as soon as possible. So get a web app up and running, connect an Excel sheet or whatever you do, but get the real data on, because that is when they start to really interact with your solution and when they will start to give more qualitative feedback. Some final rules of thumbs. Am I still in time, Marco? 1 minute? Excellent. Form follows function. It's an old design adagium and it's still very true. But why do I say this? I mentioned before, you first want to get the flow in. So you focus on that. It's not the time to waste in the beginning on pixels and colors and brands. Why not? For two reasons. First of all, it slows you down. Okay, so be courageous and get something up and running and let it just be functional. And second, what I've learned, even though you want to take care of the data, if it already looks really pretty and nice and almost done, people will not say that much anymore, because they will think, oh well, it's almost done, it's too late, what am I supposed to say about it? So have the courage to show it's a prototype and have the courage to really, really test the functional part before you start putting effort and time in the form. Define intuitive. Again, those two flavors I'd like to distinguish. Intuitive for whom? It's easy to say, yeah, it has to be really intuitive. Yeah, but for whom? Okay, if it's really for the whole world, yeah, it has to be super simple. But if it's for domain experts, a small learning curve is more than fine. Prototype fast, which you guys probably know, but also there, cut functionalities if you can't get them done, and prototype fast. And really the last thing I want to say, there's joy in making it human. I obviously, as a designer, love the fact when people become happy when they use our solutions, but there's also joy. And that is also one of the strong points of ChatGPT. I mean, I know it's a mass consumer product, but people actually, there's joy in using ChatGPT because it treats you like a human. It reacts like a human, it talks like a human, you know. And that is the real joy of making a great user experience. One final question. I'm stopping. Who of you has already made prototypes and did some user testing? Okay, about a third of the room. Very good, thank you. I'm very happy to hear and see that. For those who haven't, I would like to stop with Pippi Longstockings. It's a bit old. She was on TV way before I was in the Formula 1 pit box, but she has some really great quotes. One of them is, I've never tried that before, so I think I should definitely be able to do that. And that would be my invitation to you all. It's really about mindset. Wake up your inner Pippi and go and start tomorrow. There's joy in it. Thank you.
Thank you, Leonne. Again, unfortunately, we cannot take questions because we're a little bit tight on time, but there is going to be plenty of time to ask questions later after the presentation. Now let's move to the startup batches and association. Now we have a short pitch from Giacomo from EOP that is going to tell us more about how to build data and AI apps fast and simple. Okay, stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Hello everyone, I'm Giacomo from Hyop, and About Hype, what we are doing is actually trying to recreate the data infrastructure for the new AI era, which is basically the backend of your backend. Quickly, not interesting actually, I'm a former deep learning researcher. I've been a data professional for some time, but let's talk about now. So right now, everybody wants AI, that's clear. And from my experience in business and management, with business and management clients, well, the business case is quite simple here. They started with automating statistics, which was fine. But then let's replace support with chatbots. Let's replace copywriters. Let's replace salespeople, and then programmers with cursor, analysts. What's going on? What's coming up next? Knowledge workers, that's us, basically. Are we sure about that? Well, basically, knowledge workers' work is quite simple if you see it this way. You get data, you do analysis, you decide, implement, you get data. Well, it's not actually that fine because companies, as you may know, are not actually really prepared in handling their data. Our quest here is to start from this. This is from Anderson Horowitz. This is what you actually should do as a system in order to manage data. You have hundreds of moving parts. There is this figure which is crazy. Most data engineers can't keep up with all this complexity. And what we found out is that you don't actually need tools. You just need to get data delivered. And we think that the best data infrastructure can be no infrastructure at all. We are pioneering something new here. It's a new paradigm, a concept we call data logistics. It is quite simple, actually. Imagine you want to deliver this to Milan, to the other side of Italy. Would you buy infrastructure to deliver this? Of course not. You can think of IOP the same way as your delivery courier. We just ship your data. What you have to do is just pack and label them. And instead of this, have this. So it's quite simple, and actually Cursor of GitHub Copilot can figure out in like a blip. And we are now making more than 30,000 deliveries and handling 40 terabytes of data per month. Powering incredible success stories, removing a lot of complexity in super cool companies, startups, and this is making the back end of very incredible projects of builders that are building something crazy. That's us. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Maybe we can take a couple of questions for the startups batches. So if there is someone from the room that wants to make a quick question, dry answer. So that's the goal.
Where are you guys at in terms of funding revenue?
So right now we've been bootstrapping the company for some years now. Right now we have more than 20 enterprise customers that are using our platform, so it's going pretty well. We are growing quickly, and we are planning for our next round. It's going to be late seed for Italian standards. So we are getting started to have a more sustained growth, especially in the European market.
Other questions?
Thank you. Do you sell also synthetic data?
No, not yet. But it's quite simple to interface with synthetic data providers, and this is something we have designed into our framework.
Maybe the last, if there is another one from the room. From YouTube, maybe? No. Okay. We're good to go. Thank you very much, Giacomo. And let's move to the next one, which is a clean tech company. Please, Raffaele, come to the stage. Is actually, actually, Giacomo's company is in Puglia, and also Raffaele's company is in Puglia. So it makes us proud. So please, the stage is yours for a couple of minutes.
Thank you very much. I am Raffaele Nacchiero, CEO and co-founder of our innovative startup, Arabat, giving raw materials a natural rebirth. By 2030, over than 11 million tons of spent lithium-ion batteries will be generated from laptops, EV, cars, and other industrial waste. But there is a problem for human and nature. And today, battery recycling solutions can't be effective to solve this problem. They are inefficient. Just 70% of lithium is recovered by these solutions. They are expensive. On average, the cost for recycling 1 kilogram of battery is more than $5, and they are unsustainable. So during the last 5 years, we implemented a new solution that could be magic. That is reusing fruit and vegetable waste to recycle spent lithium-ion batteries and other industrial waste. Our technology is a new battery recycling process. More precisely, a green hydrometallurgical process that includes 3 different steps: a mechanical pretreatment to pulverize the input batteries, a bio-based leaching where we put the battery powder into a reactor with biomasses like orange peels, artichoke leaves, and other potential biomasses with water and organic acids, and finally the selective precipitations of all critical raw materials that we can recover: nickel, manganese, cobalt, lithium, that we can sell to other manufacturers. The team is composed by 5 co-founders from Apulian universities like Politecnico di Bari, University of Foggia. During the last years, we validated our technology into lab scale and pilot scale, and now we aim to close our pre-seed investment round and close also our first commercial agreement. Thank you for the attention.
Some question from the room? No question. I actually have maybe 2 questions. The first one is, so now you are in pre-revenues, so it's all about the technical implementation and raising to commercialize, or it's going to be another funding cycle for R&D?
Currently, yes, we in the last years we implemented the technology. We scaled up in Canada to a higher scale level, but also now we are negotiating the first commercial agreement with an American customer to industrialize there our innovative technology. So yes, the revenues that we had during these years, they derive from grants and awards that facilitate our scale-up program.
And I have another question that, you know, the typical problem when you deal with investors is that there is an element of, let's call it hardware here. And you know that investors are typically not very open to fund deep tech startups. How are you managing this this challenge? And if you are open to actually look for, because we know the Italian investors are typically not really keen to invest in this because also they don't have necessarily the expertise. How you are, you know, positioning your funding strategy, if you're going US or flipping the company in US because maybe, you know, there are investors that don't invest here. So that's kind of just an overview of your funding strategy.
Thank you very much for this very beautiful question, because in the last years we talked with all the Italian investors, and typically they are scared by hardware, by true innovative deep tech solutions. So the last fundraising strategy that we applied is to adopt a new business model based on licensing. So a more scalable and lighter model than the industrialization one. And in this sense, now we are talking with new investors that they appear to be more interested in this sense. Abroad, the interest is different. They also seem to approach in a different way the deep tech and the hardware. Just for example, the US, where we are having the first customer, no? They want to industrialize, they think about the strategy behind the scalability, and that's a very interesting point.
Thank you very much. Very interesting. And now we move to the association batch, which is one association. We have Paibari. We have an AI engineer and community builder from Paibari. So please, the stage is yours.
Hello, I'm Silvano from Paibari. We are a community, a local community, a part of the wider Python Italia community, and we share the goal with this wider community that is promoting the use and the misuse too, more often than not, of the Python language. That is one of the most widely used programming language in the world. And we organize events, workshops, also talks like this one. And we also collaborate with local communities like with PugliaTechs, CodeMotion, and the Google developer groups that is in Bari. And we also organize events, as I said. And we actually have an event coming up tomorrow together with CodeMotion. And one of ours, Giuseppe Virardi, is going to be having a talk there about exploring vector latent space in large language models. If you want to participate, you can scan the QR code that is on your left, and you can register if you want to attend. But also we have other events coming up always in the future. So if you want to stay up to date, just go to. I actually made a typo in there. It's Bari with with an I. So yes, feel free to scan the QR code, and we have all the links over there to our Telegram chat, web, LinkedIn page, and everything. And also you can propose talks and whatnot. And this is it. I hope I see you all to the next event. PugliaTechs event and Paibari event too. So that's it. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot. I just want to go back to wrapping up. Just leave again the QR code here. So wrapping up, we had incredible speakers, businesses, the tech side, startups, pitching funding and pitching products, association that are very connected to what we do at PugliaTechs as well. So we actually promote as well the federation of different organizations in Puglia, not just in Bari, but could be Lecce, Foggia, and Taranto, and Brindisi, in the countryside. So to wrap it up, maybe Francesco, you want to conclude the big day we had today.
I was thinking about our dual track. We always think about PugliaTechs events as a dual track between tech and business. And today I think it's hard to actually differentiate, because even when we think about tech or engineering, it's very much close to business. So our main goal is to keep those two worlds connected, and always being confused at the end, which was the tech talk, which was the business talk, and in the end, we're solving real-life businesses problems. So the two come together in building, solving real-life problems. So thanks for being with us today, and see you through the community and the next May event, which we're planning these very days. Thanks for being with us.